There's video. Hey.
I had cut off my video. I wasn't aware of that. Which might be just as well. Too early in the morning.
Very.
Hi, Bettina.
I don't think we can hear her.
I don't think so either. That's okay. We can talk.
Yeah. How's it been?
It hasn't been so bad. My biggest trip is usually out to the grocery store.
Mm.
And I don't know if Rick is tired of my cooking yet or not. I'm catching up on my reading. So how has it been for you? Well, you're still taking classes, though, aren't you?
I am. The classes have been fun. My older brother has finally returned to the house. He returned, I want to say, last week. And, well, let's say I'm getting my quarantine exercise because my brother's like, Will, now is the time. So my body has been sore every day of the week because, oh, doggy, is he good at pushing me.
Well, I can't say I'm getting much exercise, except, what is it, the fork to the mouth and the wine glass, of course, you know, that builds muscles.
Yes.
We're getting lots of funny jokes about it. I can't think of one offhand, but, you know, husbands and wives who are sick to death of each other and so on.
Yeah. I'd imagine. My dad is very, he's waiting for the summer and he wants us to get out of the house and go do other things.
Mm-hmm.
Once all of this Corona stuff is over, I think he's already sick of us.
Well, that could be. Now, Tennessee is fairly warm right now, is it not?
Oh, it's warm, and allergy season has been killer for me.
It says William.
There's Jack.
Yeah, it is. Hey, Jack.
Hey,
Hi.
I don't think I see you.
Yeah, there he is, William Brown.
Is that you? You're William Brown.
I am William Brown, yes.
Okay, okay. Oh.
Yeah, our name's up there, but not our picture.
Look down in the corner and see if it says you have video in the lower left-hand corner.
See if we have video. Yeah?
Where does this say video?
Oh,
Oh, all right. Start video.
start video. Yeah.
Okay.
Now it says
there
stop.
we are.
Now it says stop video.
Don't stop it.
I didn't do anything. It just did it.
Oh, okay.
There we are. See you?
We can only see the
Back a
top
little
of
bit.
your head.
Yeah.
You're a little bit too close, maybe.
Oh, over there.
Hello? A little bit. Okay, wonderful. Hello, everybody. Okay, I'm looking up. I don't know.
There's our fearless leader.
Okay, we want a sound check. So, Barb, can you
Yes.
hear us?
Pardon me?
Can you hear us?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Bettina,
Okay.
your picture says you're Ashley
Jack?
Wilco. Yeah,
Jack?
I know.
Jack, can you hear us?
Yes.
Good,
Okay.
wonderful.
Bill, William, Will, what do you call your L?
Will.
Will?
I'm here. I can hear you just fine.
Okay. And we're,
Catherine, you are on. You have to unmute yourself. If yeah, you can unmute her.
no.
Patty, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Okay, great.
Do you have your video on?
No.
Yes, up there too. You see the little camera?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't do that. She has to do that. I think.
Just be the guardian.
Last
Got
time,
it?
but if you sit up,
Yeah.
Mark,
I am sitting up right now.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
yeah,
because-
we can hear you, but we cannot see you. You have to unmute, get your camera. If you take your cursor all the way down, a little black,
Yeah, I see it down here.
can you see it?
Cushion.
You have to take your cursor down or you won't see it. And there is a little video that you have to click on. It's weird, we unmute everybody now, but not the camera.
But there's a red bar, which I need to click.
Yes.
Now it's on. It's on now. I can see you, Jack. And
Okay.
See you, Patty.
But your camera is not on, Patty.
I don't see
You
it.
have to click on the little video,
Okay.
the lower left bottom. Take your cursor down there. You have to take the cursor to see the black bar.
okay, I got it.
You got it? Yes, you're
There you
coming
go.
on. Perfect.
Hi, Patty.
Hey, everybody.
It's Mark.
Hi, Mark. How are you, sweetheart?
I'm doing well, thank you.
So
I'm
we're
glad to
gonna
hear
do this-
that.
we're expect- Go ahead, Patty.
Oh, I wanted to tell you, Bettina, I had my long interview with Paige and it was wonderful.
Great. I'm happy to hear that.
It was just great.
Great. So,
Patty, I want to tell you that where you're living is a gorgeous place.
Yes, but I need my boots today,
oh,
I'll bet.
my hip boots to get out today.
Yeah,
But I love where I live. Oh, Barbara, I just
I can
love
see
it.
why.
Yeah, but it's Bettina.
It's a neat place. You and Rick did such a good job on it.
oh, did you live in there before, Barbara and Rick?
Yes,
Oh,
when we first came here, we lived there.
Oh, and they did so many improvements. I've got the best villa here. I mean, in the whole complex because of them.
Yeah.
Really, it's true.
Back in with you, Patty.
No, it's not on there. That's okay.
up. Maybe I can go a little higher.
Well, you're looking up the TV
I
and the
know.
camera's down here,
Okay.
so it's.
So if I
that's
look
the way
at the
it's gonna be.
camera, but then I can't see.
Then you can't see them.
Well, I just have to look a little weird looking up because we're in the in Parkside North and on the big screen here because that is connected directly to the internet. You know, sometimes Wi-Fi is so bad here that it throws me out. And I wanted to make sure that today, I think we're going to have more people than ever. I invited other people that are not usually part of the discussion because of our special guest from Germany. And I can promise you it's going to be great. He is such a delight. I talked to him yesterday on FaceTime for half an hour with his girlfriend, who will also be in the call. And she has a profession that's amazing, and she'll tell us more about it. I mean, we have two really prominent people from Germany here. I didn't know that, so it's great. And very knowledgeable about the whole political situation and the economical situation, and so I'm really excited for them to be with us. And for you all, of course. So, and there might be people you do not know because we have some Suncoast people also coming in with us, since this is, you know, not our usual discussion, but I think they will, you know, talk for 20 minutes, about 20 minutes, and then we will open it up to questions. And if you can look at the bar again down there, there is a feature, maybe, yeah, if you go on reactions, if you scroll down and the black bar comes up, there is one icon that says reactions. And if you press on that, on reaction, you can give a thumbs up or a wave. And if you want to talk and ask a question, because we will have lots of people, I want you to either go on the, well, let's say on the wave, because then I see, can you go on it, Mark? Just
On the what?
on the thumbs up?
Yeah, just do.
Okay. Do you see a thumbs up in my picture? Yeah, up there. There's a thumbs up so that I can see who wants to say something or not, or Mark and I can see it. And then he can point it out to me because we might have 30 people. Okay, we have 2 more people. Johannes is there. He wants to come in. Admit him. And Ron Turner, yeah. There they are. Hello, hello.
Hello
Hi.
together.
Good. Can you hear us?
We can hear you perfectly.
Great, wonderful. We're
Mama,
going to wait a little longer. What time is it in Germany right now?
Oh, it's almost 5 p.m.
Good. We're, yeah. 6 hours difference. Hey, Ron, how are you?
Namaste, good morning, good afternoon, happy Thursday.
Yes, happy Thursday to you, Ron, and Johannes and Natasha.
Yes, hello.
So
Hello together.
I told Johannes and Natasha yesterday that you are my Eckert, what are we? Friend, co-worker?
We are Eckert kindred spirits. We really
Yes.
are.
We are. So
That
the
sounds good.
residents, and we'll know that, but Johannes and Natasha. So Ron and I have been working together for almost 5 years now.
Yes, yes.
And together we have created this intergenerational program. And I'm going to brag a little bit on us. Is that okay?
That's fantastic. We need bragging.
We need bragging at this time. So, so Johannes and Natasha, Ron and I created a program that actually got national recognition. We were invited to New Orleans. When was that? 2017?
I believe so.
Yeah.
I believe so. Time is very strange right now, but I believe so.
So we were invited to a national, I'm making bigger than it is, leading age national conference to present our program to others.
Oh, that's great.
Yes.
Yeah. So it was, I mean, it really, and then we went to Orlando to present it here in Florida. And just is, I think for both of us, it's just an amazing program, and we're thriving. And
Yes.
And now others are copying your program, and they are doing the same.
They're trying to, actually. I think they are. You know, I've learned so much from working with Bettina. It's been really, really fantastic. And we just keep getting these opportunities that keep popping up like this. So I'm just grateful. It's really wonderful.
so
Well,
maybe,
that sounds good. That's what we are doing in the European Union. Best practice all the time.
Yes, exactly.
Ron, you tell our guests, you know, we're still admitting people, so, but, and most of them know you, but Johannes and Natasha don't really know you, and we will introduce them when everybody is here. But can you tell them, and actually our residents too, and Will, they might not know your history about Eckert College and how you got to be back to Eckert College?
Yes.
That
So
will be interesting.
Yes. So currently I'm the director of service learning at Eckert College, which basically means I oversee the experiential education program. So we send students out locally in the Tampa Bay area, St. Petersburg, internationally, domestically throughout the United States to do service projects. So locally we work with over 180 organizations. And then we also usually send out spring break trips, you know, to places like Puerto Rico to focus on permaculture. We also go to Peru or whatnot to look at issues of education. We've done dive for degree trips in Mexico and different places like that. We've done medical mission trips to Jamaica. We even had a mindfulness meditation service trip with Orthodox monks in California. So that has been our program. And then the world stopped. And so currently I'm overseeing putting together virtual service opportunities for students like this and different activities where we can still be engaged, but still engage in best practice. It's sometimes hard to tell what that means in the United States, but that's a different conversation. And that's the work that I do currently, but I am a graduate of Eckerd College. I'm originally from Washington, D.C. I graduated in 2005. Actually, Johannes, I saw we were both born in 1983.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, my birthday's tomorrow, so I'm celebrating.
Oh, happy birthday.
Sarah, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Tiffany?
No, she's muted. If you can.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm
Okay.
here.
You can hear?
Yes, loud and clear.
Can you, we are not getting a video from you, so can you go down to the bottom and turn on your video camera?
Yeah, give me one moment.
Okay.
I know you can't see me.
Okay. Alan? Yeah.
Who is talking?
It's Mark.
Oh, Mark is right
Hello.
next to
I'm the
me.
producer of the show.
Yeah.
Hold on, I need to get the, there we go, okay. I was like, it's a phantom person talking.
You need to be 6 feet
See?
apart.
Oh, there you
my
go.
mask.
Yes,
There you
yes,
go.
there we go, yes.
I've got my mask here too, but for this, I'm not going to put it on. So we're all masked here.
Yes.
So Mark is in the background and admitting people because I know there are always people that come a little later. So I want to be concentrating on the discussion and with Ron hosting this. So Ron, you started talking about your education. You went to Eckerd College, correct?
Yes. So I went to Eckerd College and I actually studied political science and international relations. And I went to the UN in Geneva, Switzerland, and different places like that and studied international law. And then my life took a turn. And now I teach yoga and direct community service programs. So
Natasha, yoga,
yes.
almost.
And I think we're going to need a lot of that when we move through this, you know.
It helps.
Yes, it does. It definitely helps. So I'm excited to be here, and it's strange because even though we're in very changing times, we seem to keep having interesting things happen. So I'm grateful to have you here this morning. You know, I feel like I'm going to learn a lot today. And are we ready to begin, Bettina?
It's 11 o'clock. There are 2 more people waiting.
People that have just signed on, Tiffany and Courtney, we need to unmute your mic.
They can't hear you.
Okay.
You can unmute their mic.
Okay, hang on. There we go.
Oh, they're coming. They're connected.
Is Arlene on?
Yep, I'm here.
Yes, okay.
Yeah, we can actually see who's muted and who, and you can all see who doesn't have their camera on. So we have a lot of people that are still going to come on. Can we wait 3 more minutes? Is that okay?
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah. So Ron, I know that Natasha was also, and we'll learn more about them, but Natasha was a year in California, right?
Yes, right. I spent my junior high school year in Auburn. It's a little bit north of Sacramento.
Fantastic. I lived in Oakland and in the Bay Area, so Oakland and Berkeley.
Yeah.
Nice.
So I want to brag on you, Ron. You got your doctorate at Berkeley, right?
Yes.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Okay, let me close the door actually here.
Yes.
Barb?
So, Johan
Yes.
and Natasha,
Did you
Yes.
get the Kentucky Derby I sent you? Email?
Pardon?
Did you get the Kentucky Derby email I forwarded to you?
To us?
I haven't checked.
To Barb and Rick.
I haven't checked this morning, but I will.
Check for it. It's cute. You'll like it.
Thank
Let me know.
Johan,
Not working. Joyce and
Yeah.
Tiffany, we can't see you. Jean, you can't. Oh, there's Jean. Okay, great. Wonderful.
is Johan there?
Johannes?
Johannes,
Yes.
is he calling from Germany or from the United States?
Yeah, we are both from Germany. Yes.
I know you're from Germany, but are you in Germany now?
Yes, we are in Germany. We are in my hometown. It's called Hamelin.
Yay! Woo-hoo, that's where I was born.
That's
Is
right.
that your connection?
Yeah, that's our connection. My mother went to school together with Bettina. And
Oh,
that's
now
how we know
you're
each other.
aging Bettina.
Yeah. So I'm going, oh, everybody knows how old I am. So we're still having people that want to come in. Mark is going to admit people, but I think it's time for us to start. And the way welcome everybody. I'm so happy you're all here, and I want to, greet our guests, especially Johannes and Natasha. Thank you for being with us from Germany. I'll say a little more later in the introduction. And as always, Dr. Porter, would you start us off with a meditation, please?
Yes. So if you're in Florida today, it's a cloudy day. So this is a meditation to help calm the body. So why don't we have everyone sit up nice and tall, shoulders relax. Yes, nice and tall. Excellent. Shoulders relax. Chin is parallel with the earth. Hands are in your lap. Excellent. Let's raise the hands up. Open and close the fingers. Excellent. Move that around. Excellent. Take some deep breaths here. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Excellent. Let's shake at the wrists. Shake out all that tension that can be in the upper body. Relax the shoulders. Inhale, open the hands wide. Exhale, let the hands rest on the lap. Beautiful. Sit up nice and tall. Let's get into the breath. Shoulders relax. Everyone take a deep inhale into the nose. And exhale through the nose. Beautiful. Again, deep inhale into the nose. And exhale through the nose. Beautiful. Again, deep inhale into the nose. Exhale through the nose. Close your eyes. Let your shoulders relax. Deep inhale in. Exhale. And continue on a comfortable breath. Deep breaths. Apologies for that. Deep breaths. Excellent. Let the shoulders relax. Laugh if you need to. That's also a part of yoga. Excellent. And let's take a deep inhale. Relax the shoulders. Exhale, let it all out. Beautiful. Again, deep inhale. Open the mouth. Exhale, let it all out. Beautiful. And one more time, deep inhale. And open the mouth. Exhale, let it out. Release all tension from the body and gently open your eyes. Okay. I hope that left everyone.
I can't hear you.
Dr. Porter, I think you're muted. There we go.
Oh, I am?
No, you're not.
Okay.
So I think you can all hear us. And Joyce, if you can hear us, we cannot see you. You would have to turn your camera on, please.
Oh, I don't know how to do it. How do I do that?
Take your cursor all the way down and a black bar will show up, and go to the left and there's a little video camera that you have to turn on.
Let me see.
So while Joyce is doing that, I want to welcome everybody. Students from Eckerd College, hi, welcome. Residents from Suncoast, welcome. And residents from the shores, welcome. And a special welcome to Dr. Porter and Johannes and Natasha. Natasha and Johannes are joining us from Germany, and it's about 5 o'clock there right now in the afternoon. And I want to just tell you a little bit about my connection to Johannes and with Johannes to Natasha. So Johannes's mother is a friend of mine, and we've known each other since 5th grade. I still remember her little pigtails. And we have been connected ever since then. So, you know, went to their wedding. I knew when Johannes was born, met him as a little baby. And
long ago.
She was, yeah, well, she was instrumental, actually, Johannes, you might not know that, for me to get into college. I was a little, how should I say that? I was like, you know, not really on top of things. And the deadline for college application came, and she came to my house and she just said, get off your butt. And so I'm still grateful to this day to your mom. Also, they came and visit, like 4 of my German friends, 2012 in Canada, and we had a great time. And I saw them last February when I was there. So it's a long connection and a wonderful connection. And when we FaceTimed just a week or 2 ago, and I asked her, would she join us? She said, my English is not good enough, but she told me that Johannes and Natasha might be able, and I'm so grateful you're here. So would you introduce yourselves, please?
I'm Alan Cutter from Suncoast. I've lived here for 3.5 years. I'm a retired Presbyterian minister.
Oh, I'm sorry, Alan. We would like to have Johannes. Johannes, can you hear me? He's.
Wait, hang on.
Johannes, could you introduce yourself, please?
Yes, of course, I will. First of all, I would like to thank you all that we are able to join you for your weekly session. And as I already said, we are connected with you from Germany. We are in my hometown, which is called Hamelin. Perhaps you all know the legend of the so-called Pied Piper, the guy who played on a certain melody on his flute, and all the rats followed him into the river. So he solved the problem that Hamelin, my hometown, had in the Middle Ages with rats. And that's where we are sitting at the moment. And actually, that's why we are sitting together, because we are a couple since, I think, almost 8 years now. And living together in one household, also during Corona times, of course, it's possible being so close to each other. Outside, it's looking a little different, but that's what we would talk about a little later. We would like to share with you a little bit our experience during the Corona times, how we deal with it in Germany, and perhaps to hear a little bit about how you deal with it in the US as well. As Bettina already said, my mother and her, they know each other since a long time already. I'm 36 years old now, and since 2017, I'm representing my home region. It's called Weserbergland, the region around Hamelin. I represent my home region in the German parliament, the Bundestag. So I'm member of the federal parliament since 2 years. And within the parliament, I'm member of different committees, member of the European Affairs Committee and deputy member of the Foreign Affairs Committee of the German parliament, and also member of the Committee on Financial Affairs and the Committee on Budget. So 2 very important committees, because the one is responsible for how to get the money in with taxes and stuff, and the other one, the Budget Committee, is deciding about how we spend the money. And of course, these 2 committees are very important also during Corona times, if it's about help for the people and for for companies and stuff to survive this difficult situation. But I would like to introduce you to Natasha as well, and has a very important reason that we are doing this together. Because not just because we are a couple and we know each other since a long time. We met each other 8 years ago in Brussels, when we both lived and worked in Brussels, in the European capital. And now we are both living most of the time in Berlin, in the German capital, but the other half of the year in my hometown here in Hamelin. And actually, that's what makes the Corona situation special for us, that we live together for more than a week, not being divided in a long distance relationship. That's something that is very special for us as well, because during Corona times, we do a lot of things from home office, also in the German parliament. So I don't have to travel every week to Berlin as usually. I do most of the things from Hamelin, from my hometown. That's why we can sit here together.
Has some positive effects as well.
Yeah, that's right. In general, for our relationship, but I think in some families it's the same effect. But Natasha is working in Berlin usually. She's a political consultant, working in a consultancy, and in this way she's a political advisor to some clients, which are mostly companies that would like to know about what's going on in the political area, what kind of laws do we adopt in the parliament, and she's advising these clients about also especially what happens in Corona crisis, and what kind of laws do we adopt in the parliament to react on this difficult situation. Perhaps this should be my first introduction, just to introduce both of us, and I would like to hand over to Natasha, and perhaps she will say a few more things about what kind of measures we implemented in Corona times, because she most probably knows much better than I do, because every day she's having an overview about this to advise her clients.
So should we start right away with the facts?
Yep.
Perfect. So what we're currently doing is preparing a newsletter every day to all of our clients about all the measures and all the data and facts that are currently, just a daily update to all our clients. So I'll try to give you one of those daily updates right now. Maybe just some facts in the beginning. In Germany, we at the moment have 161,552 COVID-19 cases, and 6,500 people have died approximately. Today there was new unemployment data published. Currently we have 2.6 million people that are unemployed, which is approximately 5.8% of the population.
Because in Germany there are 82 million people living.
So maybe if we compare it also then to the percentage, so the numbers, approximately in Germany it's about 0.2% of inhabitants that are infected. To compare, in the US, it's about 0.3%. So even though the numbers in the US look much bigger with over 1 million infected, it's actually, because you have such a bigger population, it's not that big of a difference. And of course, we're affected in all areas of our life, as well economically, but also just personally. And I'll try to give you an overview over the measures that have been taken in Germany now. And what I thought was really interesting, in the mid of March, one of the ministers for work affairs and labor, he said that there are 3 points that are most necessary at the moment. So first of all, it's to protect our health. Second of all, to secure employment and work possibilities. And third of all, to organize social security. And those are the 3 most important steps that all the measures go after. So to protect health, we have some general contact restrictions that are in place since March 23rd. We're not allowed to contact any people outside of our household anymore. If we are outside, we should not be in groups that are larger than 2 persons. We need to keep distance of 1.5 meters to 2 meters. There are no events. All events are canceled until August or end of August this year at the earliest. There's no school, no university, no kindergarten. Everyone who's able to work from home should work from home. So most of the people are staying home. All stores have been closed, restaurants are closed, hotels are closed. There are no churches open anymore for services. Theaters are closed. So basically everything is closed except for drugstores and grocery stores. Those are still open. There have also been some developments of closing the border down. I mean, we're in the European Union, we have a common market, so we're used to open borders. But the borders between Germany and other countries have been closed down, and very curiously also some borders within Germany, because Germany is also a federal state. So much of the policies are taken by the states, and some of the states have also closed down their border, for example, to prevent people to going to the coast. But now we're already, since those restrictions have been in place for a couple of weeks now, we are now in a phase where those restrictions are slowly lifted again. And so, for example, now there's some stores that are being opened again. And to do that, we all have to wear face masks outside. But I guess you're used to that as well by now. And now, since we're a federal state, lifting those measures also brings us to the curious situation that there are also some differences between the states. So in some you have to wear face masks in public transports, and some you don't. I mean, I think now they made it equal again, but still, in some they have already opened the schools, and others they don't. So it gets a little bit confusing at the moment. But those are those general measures. And what Germany has done very quickly, or what the federal government has done very quickly, is also address those other 2 points of securing employment and organizing social security measures. And the federal government decided on those measures already in the end of March. And they agreed upon a so-called Corona package. It's a package of 6 measures to be 6 measures. And I'll go through of them really quickly, and maybe we can, if there are questions about them in more detail, we can talk about them later. So first of all, there's a packet or a law for economic stabilization. So there are possibilities for tax relief, for credit authorization by the state, but also, for example, for short-time allowance. So people can, or businesses can apply for this short-time allowance, and then their employees are getting paid by the state. So they don't have to pay their employees anymore, but the state pays the wages, and they pay 60 to 67% of the wage, which is quite good. It's better than nothing. And by that, people don't have to be unemployed. They don't have to go into unemployment. There were also some changes to tenancy law and insolvency law, so preventing people for being, preventing termination of rent, for example, so people don't have to sit on the street. There were also some changes to infection protection law. So now there's for example, exemptions in building laws in order to have, for example, medical facilities being built faster, and because we need the space. There's also some financial aid for hospitals. And then there's a big social security package with instant relief measures, such as financial aid for small and medium enterprises, for self-employed people, for cultural people, and also some exemptions for working hours, so that you're allowed to work longer than usually, because, for example, in the health sector, there's a much bigger need for people working right now. And usually we have an 8-hour day, work day in Germany. So they lifted those kind of protected measures as well. And in order to finance that all, they agreed upon a huge supplementary budget of 122 billion euros, which is a lot of money. And in addition, they also allowed for credits, so for the federal state to take up credits that amount to 156 billion euros. So in total, there is about 180 billion euros given for AIDS at the moment.
So as you can see, this is a huge package, and it's something that has to be decided by someone. And that is, of course, also the parliament. It's not just the government. The government brings these measures into parliament, but the parliament has to decide about this. And of course, we discuss all these measures also in the committee meetings, for example, in the financial committee and in the budget committee where I'm a member of. So I was into all these discussions, and I had to vote about these things in parliament as well. And usually in Germany, during the year, we have 22 weeks where we have plenary sittings in Berlin, in our capital. Let's say it's the same as if the senators in the US going to be in the Senate in Washington, DC for a couple of weeks in the year. And in Germany, it is more or less that for 1 week I'm in Berlin and 1 week I'm in my constituency. And my constituency is more or less in the north of Germany. It's in Lower Saxony. We are in Hamelin, that's what I already said. And Hamelin is very close to the border between Lower Saxony and North Rhine-Westphalia, another of the 16 states of Germany. So the things that Natasha mentioned, that there are some differences in how the measures that we decided at the federal level, how they were implemented by the states, these differences became very visual in our region because it's very close to the other state. So for example, hardware stores, or are they called home improvement stores or something like that, they were opened in North Rhine-Westphalia, just 10 miles away from here. And in my hometown, they were closed because my state government, they said that we close every store that is not necessary to be open. And then, of course, there were a lot of people here asking, why are they open 10 miles away and they're not open here? So they all drove with a car over there to get their stuff, to do things in the garden or in their house and to repair things and stuff. So these are things that I have to deal with as a member of parliament. Of course, I have calls from the kindergartens, from a lot of families that want to have the kindergartens being open up again. I have calls from strawberry farms or mushroom farms in my region because it's a very rural region, and usually they have workers from Poland or from Ukraine, for example. And at the moment, because of the travel restrictions, it's not possible for workers from other European countries or also from other countries around the European Union to come to Germany to work here in the strawberry farms or in the mushroom farms. So these are all little things where people are calling me as their representative in the parliament and to get to know how they should deal with it and what they should do. And these are the things that we try to collect and to bring together when we meet in these kind of video conferences as we do now, when we do these video conferences in our committee meetings in Berlin. Perhaps that should be the first things that we would like to bring up as an introduction. But since we would like to get in touch with each other, and for us it's very interesting to discuss these things because we always like to be in touch with people that take a look beyond their own nose. That's interesting for us. So we make a cut here, and we hope that there were some things that bring up questions from your side.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Johannes, and thank you so much, Natasha. Wonderful to know everything. I mean, I wasn't aware of the hardware stores, for example, you know, open in North Rhine-Westphalia and closed in Lower Saxony. So I would suggest that if you want to speak, please raise your hand, and you're all muted right now. And I think you can each individually unmute yourself when you speak, but please raise your hand so that we know who wants to ask a question or share, and then we'll call on you.
And Bettina, I would say just also say what your name is and where you're located.
Yes, correct. Wonderful, Ron.
Yes.
Thank you. Catherine.
My name is Catherine Conover, and I'm located in Westminster Shores. And what I wondered was, when you vote on a law, are you allowed to vote virtually now through teleconferencing? I mean, as well as having discussions, or do you have to come to Berlin to vote in person, as our Congress still has to come in person to vote, and they're not yet allowed to vote virtually?
That's a very good question, Catherine. Thank you very much for this, because it's you're right. It's necessary to be personally in the parliament to vote about these laws. But what we did is that we changed the laws about how we vote in the parliament. So usually we need to have at least 50% of the members of parliament being in the plenary hall to vote about the laws, so that the voting process is valid. And we lowered this down to 25% of the members of parliament, so that not that many members of parliament have to be in the plenary hall when we vote about these laws. So we have to be in Berlin, but we don't have to be all in the same plenary hall. So this is the way we vote about it. Actually, there is another problem that we have with being personally in a place to vote about certain things, because, for example, we have some elections, of course, during the next weeks and months in Germany, for mayors in different cities, also regional elections in some regional constituencies, and there also to have candidates to become a mayor, they have to be voted in party conventions. And also these party conventions, there's a law about how during these party conventions, the candidates for becoming a mayor of a city or for becoming a candidate for the regional parliament or for the national parliament, they have to be voted in a certain way. And we changed these laws a little bit to lower down the numbers of delegates that have to be there voting about these things. But it's a very good question, because it's a question about how if democracy still works under these conditions.
But since we're sitting underneath the European flag, in the European Parliament, they're doing it, for example, differently. In the European Parliament, it is possible to vote digitally now. And they did that during the last plenary week for the first time, that they all sat at home and they could vote on the acts and the legislative acts, but digitally, which I think is really cool, because I mean, other parliaments could think about that as well, I think.
Joyce. Joyce, right there. Joyce. No. Next to Johannes. Right there.
Joyce, you have to unmute. There you go.
Right, let me try and find it.
Oh, you're good. Now we hear you. Mark unmuted you.
Okay.
Yeah, now we hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I have a question. You mentioned about the farmers not being able to get the migrant workers across the border to harvest the mushrooms and the strawberries. Does this mean that they cannot get to market, or do you utilize local labor, or maybe high school kids, or what happens? And does this mean any food shortages if you can't have people come from Poland, Romania, and other countries? So how do you handle that?
That's actually a huge discussion at the moment, because in Germany we currently collect asparagus, and Germany is really big, or we love our asparagus, so that's a big topic. And what the government actually did is that they agreed with Romanian workers to fly them in. So, and which is also, which rendered a discussion afterwards, because should you really fly in workers just so we can eat asparagus? It's already a vegetable that is rather high class, so is that really necessary in times like this? Is it worth the risk or not? But that's what we did. There were also thoughts of having students work as just helping in the agricultural sector.
I think we have to say that this problem is not finally solved.
Yes.
And we tried different approaches to help in this area, because for example, there are a lot of students that finance their studies by student jobs in bars, for example, working in bars or in restaurants, and restaurants and bars are closed at the moment as well. So the first ones that were that lost their work there were student workers, more or less. And now we try to bring these student workers to work, for example, in these agricultural areas, to work there instead of workers that came from other countries. Actually, the problem is also that, of course, the different European countries are differently affected by the coronavirus, and the
measures are just different,
and
you don't know.
That's right, and the governments react in a different way on that. Actually, the first step was that every single European country, that's something that we learned from this coronavirus as well, that every single European country reacted in a different way, and with different measures on how to solve the corona crisis. And now more and more they try to find European approaches and to find the same approaches and to learn from each other. And when we talked in the beginning about best practice, that's something, of course, that we all take a look on how in other European countries things work or don't work. And we try to use the best practice examples in more countries so that we can overcome this situation.
But the countries also learn quickly, because in the beginning, most of the countries reacted by closing the border. And since we have a common market, our products are not, we don't have all our products in Germany. So some of the products are produced in Poland, for example. And then suddenly the people were faced with huge traffic at the borders, which we're not used to anymore. People stuck there for an entire day or so, just because people closed down the border, and then realizing, oops, we need the goods that are on there for, I know, our production. That took a couple of days until the States learned.
Yeah, but it's not just in agriculture that we noticed that our businesses in every single business area are so close connected now already, that it's almost impossible to close every border. I mean, it's if you think about Northern America, if you would close the borders between the US and Canada, or if you would close the borders between the US and Mexico,
Well, if they're trying to.
as some politicians try to, I don't know if this would have very good effects on the economy in general.
Thank you. Sarah Danica.
David.
David, okay.
David,
David.
he's sitting here,
Hi.
so it's David with the question.
Hi. Johannes, in the U.S., the government has been spending money by either printing money or increasing the debt remarkably. Is Germany's approach sort of the similar implementation of modern monetary theory?
So the money or the budget that we have is also, it's a huge amount of debt, yes. But what we usually have in place is like what's it called? Die Schuldenbremse is like a threshold above which the state is not allowed to make debts, and they canceled that now. So now Germany is allowed to take up bigger debts than usually, because it's an exceptional situation.
Yeah, I mean, we implemented that, this we call it debt break or something like that, or break for debts, so that we have a certain level that cannot be, where we can't get over if we make debts as
a debt ceiling.
As Germany. Yes. Is it called debt ceiling?
Yes.
Natasha just checked it out. So we had implemented that a few years ago, but now we lifted this a little bit. Also because we learned a few years ago during the social and financial crisis that we already had, that it's sometimes necessary to take or to bring more money in the market, so that that the different businesses have more opportunities to use money where they need it. So we can take bigger debts, but we hope that if not too many business areas are affected too much, in the end, it helps more if they don't get bankrupt and there's no...
Because then the job loss won't be permanently. So I think a good example, for example, is the short time allowance scheme that we have in Germany, because that costs a lot of money. And today there came the estimations of how many people actually applied for this short time allowance, and it's now 10 million people. And they estimated for 3 to 7 million people applying for this short time allowance.
So much higher numbers than expected.
And as I said before, this short time allowance allows businesses to keep their employees as employed by them, but they don't have to pay the wages. The wages are paid by the state. And so, of course, there's a lot of money needed to do this. But then on the other hand, when the economy starts up again, then the businesses are still there. You don't have to build them up again. So you can benefit from that. And also the people can benefit from that, because they will still have money in their bank account, being able to buy stuff. So when you're unemployed, you don't have the ability to be part of the economy again.
So we think it's much more, or it would be much more expensive if a lot of companies would die because of the crisis and they have to throw out all their employees.
Who are then unemployed because they would receive unemployment benefits.
So either way, the
state would pay.
Yeah, the state would have to pay. But this way we keep them employed and we keep them in the companies, hoping that we overcome the crisis this way. But it shouldn't take too long, that's as well.
Bill?
Let's see. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you both for speaking with us. Our son is married to a lady originally from Austria. She's employed in Hamburg, Germany, and they both are working in their home there. We've talked to them several times a week, and she's kept us abreast of some of what you told us. And I was impressed. She may get furloughed, but she will get the 60% or whatever the figure was that you used. Now, an impression I have, and correct it if it's wrong, is that your government has been, and realize some of those policies were probably already in place, but in terms of new actions, my impression from listening to my daughter-in-law and son is that Germany has been, by comparison, much more nimble than our government in setting restrictions and expanding the financial support. If that's true, what would you attribute that to in the German populace and government?
I mean, I think it's very important being flexible in the measures that we try, because it's a situation we all never had. It's a situation where we all have to learn from day to day. And the problem with the Corona crisis is that you always know after 2 weeks or a little longer if the measures that you implement, if they take effect or if they don't. Because it takes a while until you find out if people are affected by this coronavirus or not. And we try to keep the numbers as low as possible. I don't know how you call it. If every person just spread the virus to one other person, and that's the level where we have it at the moment. The spread of the virus is at a very low level. So our health system can handle this number of cases. And it's still like that. But of course, if we lift the measures that Natasha mentioned, people get closer to each other and they have more opportunities to meet each other and perhaps to spread the virus more, as we had it during the last weeks. So we don't know if the lifting of the measures has such a negative effect in 2 or 3 weeks that the numbers are rising again, so that we perhaps have to have higher restrictions again. But I think in general, we have to be flexible, but nevertheless, also with our social system that keeps a lot of people in work and that keeps a lot of people at a level where they don't get unemployed, there are a lot of people that are criticizing this nevertheless. I mean, I'm member of a social democratic party, and we have a coalition government of our conservative party, led by Angela Merkel, by our chancellor, and together with my party, with the Social Democrats. And of course, especially for us as Social Democrats, it's very important to secure the workers, to secure the people that don't earn that much money. And for them, it's very important at least to get 60 or 70% of their usual salary instead of nothing. But nevertheless, there are a lot of people that are criticizing us for not to give 100% or to give 90% of the money that they usually earn.
But what I think is really what makes us in Germany able to take those policies and those measures that cost a lot is 2 things. First of all, we have a social welfare state that is well established. We started this sometimes in 1870, so we have a long tradition of social welfare in Germany. So even the conservative parties acknowledge that there has to be a social welfare system. It's not there's no question about it. Everyone agrees upon this. And that makes it easier to have measures and social security measures adopted, because there's no one who questions them. There's just a common policy on that.
The discussions that you had about Obamacare a few years ago, for example, we wouldn't have these discussions in Germany about the social welfare system, because it's much more accepted, because everyone knows about the positive effects on, on every single person.
And the other thing, the second thing I think that's really important for our case in Germany, and that's also unique to Germany, is really our Chancellor Merkel. She's now, how many years? 15 years in office, so she has a lot of experience. She's been through the financial crisis and managed that. So, and she is herself as a scientist. So I think that's also a factor, because we in Germany, I think, already tend a lot to listen to scientists and facts more. And when you then have a government that's already in place for a long time, who's also listening to facts and who doesn't have to prove anything anymore, because she's not running for office again, and everyone knows that, that makes it easier also to have hard measures and spending a lot of money.
That's why she's dealing with these things very unexcitedly. And that's, I think, very important, not just to do things to present yourself in public, but to try to really to solve the problem, and not to I don't know, to present a picture of yourself to look very good or something like that.
Good. Thank you. I'll just say I envy you.
Thank you very much.
That's music to my ear.
I think Catherine, and then Sarah and David.
I think it's interesting that Angela Merkel was a physicist. I mean, that's her training, was a physicist, therefore a scientist. And maybe we need to look more to people with science backgrounds when we elect our politicians. But I also noticed, and perhaps somebody can help me with, there's a name that we have here for somebody who has, if one person who has the virus only infects one other person, and actually, and there's a name for it, I can't remember what it is, but
R0.
Pardon?
R0. It's called R0, the rate of infection.
Oh, rate of infection, thank you. With the rate of infection, I was just watching the news this morning, and the rate of infection in Germany is still -1. In other words, one person with coronavirus infects less than one person in Germany with the disease. And it was beginning to creep up. But apparently it's still at -1, and we're much higher than that. I can't recall what our number is, but so I'm envious of Germany too.
Right. Yeah, but we've already been higher. So we've been to, I think, 1.5, and then we had lockdown, and now I think we're back at 0.7 of the infection rate.
Yes.
But it's also, I mean, little changes in the infection rate make a huge difference. So, for example, if we have an infection rate of 1.4, our health system would be overwhelmed by, I think, June or July this year. So it's really the most important thing right now, from our policy perspective, to keep this rate below 0 in order to enable our health system to deal with all the COVID cases.
But it might be interesting to you to know that at least on the national news here, Germany was touted as being foremost, one of the foremost countries as far as being successful so far in combating coronavirus.
But you say it's successful so far, and it's something.
Well, yes, so far. That's all we can say, right?
But that's right. We have to keep it that way. But that's difficult because, of course, having these measures and then these restrictions for the people not to leave their home if possible, and for example, not to go to certain places, not to have the kindergartens open. This is at the moment the biggest problem that is discussed in Germany, because of course now a lot of people see what the people in the kindergartens, what kind of work they do, and how tough this work is.
Right.
And also the people in the care sector, the people that work in the care sector. These are jobs that are, let's say, not seen in a way as they should be seen in German public, or they have been seen as a
before the crisis.
Yeah, before the crisis, they have been seen as a let's say low-level job. But how important these jobs are, that comes into people's mind during the crisis much better, because they see how difficult it is if you have few kids at home and you have to work from home in home office and things like this. And to bring all these things together, this brings new problems. And these problems are discussed at the moment. And that's the discussion that we have to find a balance of lifting the measures, lifting the restrictions, but to keep the infection rate nevertheless as low as possible, to have our health system been able to handle these numbers.
And that's a paradox, because when you're too good, people say, well, COVID-19 is not that dangerous. Look at us, we're doing so good. But it's because the measures. So that's really the bad discussion at the moment, that people are saying, look, we're doing good, so let's lift the measures, but they don't realize it's because of those measures.
Right.
And of course, that's the last sentence to this question. We had a huge advantage in Germany because we have seen the effects of COVID-19 in other countries before. So we had a lot of reports in the news about what happened in China, although they perhaps gave other numbers to the public than there were. We saw what happened in Italy and in Austria, in the ski resorts especially.
Yeah.
This was something that we've seen in the news. So everyone who was not running around with eyes closed was aware of what could happen. And in Italy and also in France and also in Austria, they had the situation that in some hospitals they had to decide which people they take into the hospital and which people they send home to death, because they couldn't handle they couldn't handle them anymore, because there were too high numbers of infected people. And that was perhaps our advantage, that we were a little before the wave.
We're like 2 weeks behind those other countries.
And that's why the measures that we implemented are at the moment successful.
Yeah.
But to keep them like that, it's still a challenge.
We have Sarah or David, and then Dr. Porter.
I just have a very quick question. I noticed in something I read the other night that the average age of those dying in the United States, I believe they said, was 72. In Germany, it's much, much lower. And I wish I could tell you exactly what I read, but it was much lower. In Italy, it was certainly very high. What does that suggest to you? Your policies with dealing with the aged, or what do you think?
I just know for the reasons why that was like this, or why it is like this in Germany. So it's true, in the beginning, the people affected in Germany were really young, but the age is now rising. So in the beginning, it was especially those people that are very mobile that were infected. So those people that've been traveling around the world, that've been traveling to Austria, especially to ski resorts. So in the beginning, it was the young people that were infected, but now it's slowly changing, and now the older population or more older people are being infected and less younger people.
That's actually, we still don't know too little about this COVID-19. I mean, we still don't know, we still don't have a possibility to have what's called vaccination, to have a vaccination method for COVID-19. So that's why we put in the financial committee in the parliament, we put 10 billion euros just in the research to find a vaccination method, 10 billion people, just for research about COVID-19, to be able to have a vaccination one day or as soon as possible. But it will take, with all the tests that you have to do before, it will take a year, usually. Perhaps we get it a little earlier. But we need to learn much more about this virus. And there are, I mean, mostly older people affected, and because their immunity system doesn't take it as easy as of the younger people. But that's why we have such a big discussion, for example, about the kindergartens at the moment, because young people, or the youngest people, doesn't seem to be affected that much by this virus,
But that's not clear yet.
Nevertheless they spread it, and it's not clear if it's really like that. So we need more research about this virus, and that's what we try to do in parallel to all the other measures.
Thank you.
Yeah, Dr. Porter, Ron.
Yes, thank you so much. This has been very, very informative. I just have a personal question for you two questions. One, how are you coping with this situation emotionally? And two, are you afraid?
Should I start?
Feel free.
Emotionally, it's actually we are really good at the moment, because we can spend time with each other, because we are in the good situation that we have a big flat where we can both work and on separate desks. So for us at the moment, it's really good.
And we have both jobs where we are able to do home office. There are other jobs where this is not possible.
And I'm not afraid, because I think fear doesn't do any good. Doesn't help. So we'll just have to hang in there all together and do our best.
I'm more afraid not about myself or about us, because for us the situation is really, it's a little bit a gift for us both, because in our relationship in general, usually I am 1 week in Berlin. That's when we see each other. But when my calendar as a member of parliament is fully packed, and we often just see each other late at night when I come home, and then we just have a quick chat and then we go to bed and that's it. That's unfortunately very often like that. And she's working a lot as well. And the other week I'm in my constituency and Natasha stays in Berlin. Now she can do home office from Hamelin, from my hometown, from my constituency, and I'm in my constituency and I don't need to be in Berlin as often as usually. So for us, it's a little bit a gift. But what I'm afraid of a little bit is about my family, for example. My mother is in the age of Bettina. My father is a little older. My grandmother is, of course, even more older. And if I want to see them and I have to keep distance, I try to see them and we are going there, for example, to help them in the garden, but doing that with keeping distance to each other. But nevertheless, what would happen if, for example, my father or my grandmother suffer from corona? Who brought this virus to them then? Was it me who's going to the market as well with my mask, because I have to buy things to eat and stuff, and doing that for them? Then I brought perhaps this virus to them, and if they die from it because their immunity system doesn't take it as good as we do as younger people, that's what I'm afraid of much more, that I have a first case in my personal environment. If you know someone, I think it's worse than if it still feels far away for most of the people, I think.
Thank you, Johannes. I told Mark that I want to ask a question, actually 2 questions to both of you. As a member of the German Bundestag, German Parliament, I know your work has changed, My question really is, do you feel more of a responsibility now? I mean, is it like a more of a, yeah, I want to say a burden to have that responsibility because your job is, I mean, very important for the country. So to make decisions, do you feel more it is more of a burden to you at this time than, or like, what do I mean burden? You know what I mean? Kind of like
More responsibility.
More responsibility, exactly. When I talk to German people, I always think German again. It's so weird. Anyway, and then my second question to both of you is, how is the United States being seen in Germany right now? How do German people perceive what's going on in the United States? That, I think, is a very, at least to me, and I think to a lot of us, an interesting question.
Yeah, perhaps I will start. I never see the things that I do as a burden. I mean, I took the decision to take over responsibility as a representative for a few 100,000 people in my region, and that's something that I did by own choice. And it's not a burden, but of course you feel responsibility. But it's at the moment, for me, it's the same responsibility as I always have, as I had during the last few years since I'm representing my home region in the parliament, also during non-corona times. But at the moment, perhaps you notice it even more than before. If you are an open person, if you try to be on the street and being publicly seen by the people, that the people see you buying things on the market, seeing you walking through the streets, if they are coming to you telling them how they feel in this situation, they do that usually as well. But during the corona situation, of course, everyone is affected. So everyone has some experiences with that.
I think it becomes more tangible because usually when you make laws, you pass them and no one cares about them, or some people care about them, but not everyone.
And now they have immediate effect to most.
And now it's everyone, and they have immediate effect, and they come to you. I mean, you're talking on the phone, I don't know, every day for 6 hours or so with people who are coming to you saying, hey, I applied for those funds, please, can you help us, or something like that. So it becomes more tangible for you as well, because you don't just pass an act, but actually something happens afterwards because people approach you about those acts.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, people running a hotel, for example, they don't have guests at all, so they don't have any earnings. They are coming, what should we do with our hotel? The costs are still there, but we don't earn anything. People that have a supermarket, or not a supermarket, a market where you can buy clothes, for example, which is closed still. So all these people don't have any earnings. Two of our best friends, they have skipped their weddings to next year. So there is a place, for example, where you can celebrate weddings, and they earn their money with celebrating weddings, with organizing wedding parties. There are no wedding parties at the moment because there are not many people that are allowed to come together. So they all don't have earnings, and they all need someone to tell where their problems are. So for me, it becomes much more visible at the moment what kind of responsibility I have. But I have the responsibility in other times as well. And second question about the US, perhaps I don't want to make it too long. Natasha should say something about that as well. But looking to the US, it feels a little bit weird during the last years already, because the US and Europe were always a natural ally, and especially being member of the European Affairs and Foreign Affairs Committee, I'm dealing a lot with foreign politics. And the questions of how we deal with the US was a question that changed during the last years already, that it is not as usual, not a normal connection as it was for decades, during the last years, it changed a little bit, viewed from both sides, perhaps. But at the moment, seeing the corona situation, for example, in New York City and in some other bigger cities where a lot of people live in a very dense area, it makes us perhaps more sad seeing this situation. And perhaps that the problem was a little bit underestimated in the beginning by the decision makers in some places in the US, but not from everyone, that's for sure. And we can't judge the situation from far away as easy as if you are there. So it's just, it makes me a little bit sad to see that so many people are affected and so many people die from this.
But we have the same affection not only to American citizens, but of course to citizens all over the world. You see also how COVID-19 is now spreading to countries where there's no health system at all, in South America or in Africa. I mean, that's just horrible to watch. And I mean, those are pictures I haven't seen in my lifetime before. I think many haven't seen before, and it's just heartbreaking. And then, I mean, to the US, I think it's important to look for the citizens and to feel with the citizens. And I think, well, we already mentioned before, I lived in the US for a year, so there is a connection there, and I'm worried, but I'm trying not to. I mean, it's not my place to judge the politics. I'm looking for the people and the stories behind the people, and that's really saddening.
Well, I think what is important and what shows us the situation, what the situation shows very clear, is that we shouldn't just think about ourselves and that we are somehow on an island of happiness, or let's say compared to others, an island of happiness where things work out more or less well. But in other parts of the world, they don't work out this way, and they need our help as well. So we need to think about how our cooperation, for example, with African countries could work much better, how we can help there, and how we can build up better healthcare systems there as well.
Yeah, because I think I just watched, I think it was on the news yesterday or 2 days ago, where they were saying that the death toll in African countries is actually not about COVID-19, but of other diseases, because
malaria and others.
Because people just stop going to the doctor because they're afraid of being with other people, and then they die of other diseases. And I think that's just horrible. We're such a globalized world, and we have so much welfare in our European countries, in Germany, also in the US, in big parts. But why is it not possible to, to have that for everyone, to also the people who are not that well off, no matter where they are or what passport they have?
I'm looking at the time. We are at 10 minutes after 12. Is there somebody who would like to ask a question who has not spoken yet? I know we haven't heard from our students. Is there anybody? Will?
Yes, hi.
Hi.
My name is Will. I'm from Germantown, Tennessee at the moment. I have one question, and I know it's kind of hard to think of the future when everything is so like right now with everything. My question is, how do you think this is going to affect things long term?
Tough question. You go.
I mean, it's something that we discussed already yesterday, for example. I met with my colleagues from the regional parliament because tomorrow we have the International Labor Day, and usually we celebrate this day to remind people on that we need good labor conditions in all parts of the world, and to fight for better labor conditions for all workers. And there we discussed how this changed our political life already. for example, that we act much more digital. And I think also if we see our airports, for example, there will be some changes in if it's necessary to be or to use the mobility that we can use, that we have to think about if we have to use this mobility as much as we did in the past. For example, a friend of mine, he's working for Google. He's based in Munich in Germany, but very often going to California. And I don't know how often he's flying every year from the US to Germany. And now he said that also at Google, where they don't have to think about money, I guess, but they already discussed if it's necessary to have so many flights from there to there. And actually that's also a discussion that we have very often, that the climate change that we see in every parts of the world, that this is something that we all have to tackle together. And perhaps it can have some effects in thinking about these things as well.
I mean, it would be an opportunity to use this shutdown of the economy and then restart it maybe in a different way. Could be used as an opportunity. But of course, there are always those people who would not like to have that. So there's actually already discussions going on about that exactly, whether using this as a restart and a more sustainable restart maybe. And the European Commission also proposed a Green Deal as well before COVID-19. So now they're thinking about how they can use this also to restart the economy more sustainable. But then on the other hand, there are also those people, of course, who say, well, now the economy is hit so hard already, let's please do that another time and stop all environmental policy, and maybe we should not put a price on carbon, and maybe we should not have higher burdens for, I don't know, coal industry or car industry, because that's the backbone of the German economy. So that's going to be a really interesting discussion, which personally, I think will also affect governments, and also in Germany, German government, because within the party, there is no clear, or within the governing coalition, there is no clear political view on this. They are not agreeing on that. So
there you see actually that Natasha is member of the German Green Party. So we are representing different parties, but still like each other.
I wasn't talking about your party. I was talking about your coalition partner.
Of course, but nevertheless, she's absolutely right. With the Green Deal, there are interests clashing on each other. There are some that earn a lot of money with the techniques and with the industry that we already have. And there are a lot of opportunities if we change our industries to a more sustainable, to more renewable energies, for example. If we change them, we can earn money in other areas, and we can change our industries, and perhaps that's better for the global climate in general. But if the one interests are stronger than the others, we have to see, and that's an important part of the political discussion that we have in Germany as well. I try to be part of it.
Well, Johannes, just to let you know, your dad and I, when the Green Party was founded in Germany,
in the beginning of the 80s.
What?
Or mid 80s.
Yeah. So we had a bet, and he lost like 5 bottles of champagne to me because I said they will make it into the Bundestag, and he said they won't.
I didn't know that.
Tell him about it. He still owes me 5 bottles of champagne. He'll laugh about it.
You will remind him.
Yes, she will remind him.
Right. Well, I think with that, we need to look at the time. Johannes and Natasha, thank you so very much for joining us.
Thank you so much. That was wonderful. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
But thank you, students. Thank you, residents. Thank you, Dr. Porter. And thank you, Mark, in the background here, who did all the muting and unmuting and admitting people. So we will see each other again next week at 11 o'clock with, I think Dr. Porter and I talked about a topic. Ron, what did you suggested?
We're going to talk about wellness and how we're keeping ourselves well through this situation, but we also want to start to take a turn and think about what can we do, because we're all kind of sitting in the house trying to figure out what to do. So what can we tangibly start to do from our homes to really make some change and have some impacts in this situation? So I think it's going to be a fantastic and lively discussion for sure.
I think so too. And again, thank you all for being here. And we're going to say namaste with Dr. Porter.
Namaste. Enjoy sending you good energy.
All right, namaste.
Yes,
Bye.
Yes.
Bye-bye. Thank you very much.
Bye. Thank you all.
I feel like we've been really blessed by hearing you all, and thank you so much.
It was as same interesting for us, because we are also interested in hearing other opinions. So keep being interested in as many other countries as you are at the moment, and keep on looking over your, how is it called? Keep on looking beyond your own nose. That's important.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.